I'm Vanessa Ruck, the girl on a bike, and I'm here in Italy, and as you can probably tell by the sweat on me, the warm glow, it is very, very warm, but I'm very excited about the electric Energica I'm going to be riding here today. So let's get down to it. So here we have the next generation Energica with the Eva Ribelle RS. Now I would say this is the creme de la creme of electric motorcycles. Now if you're new to my channel, you maybe haven't seen some of my other electric motorcycle reviews, but if you're a frequent watcher, you'll see that I'm a bit of a fan of electric. But there's something about this one that's really caught my eye. Now previously, when I've gone on some of the rivals of this bike, it's felt like an electric motorbike. But this feels like a motorbike that is electric. Let's talk about some of the reasons why this really is a motorbike worth your attention. And even if you're one of those people that goes, nah, I like the engine, I like the petrol, I like the noise, keep watching, because this is a bike to convert even the non-believers of electric. Honestly, I really believe that. So the first thing about this bike, it's electric, which means the acceleration is just silly. It's ridiculous. You open up with that wrist and it feels like your brain is just being squidged through to the back of your head and out the back because you're accelerating so fast. Like a G-force I don't think I've ever experienced in quite the same way, because the power this thing is kicking out is 169 horsepower or 145 horsepower continuous, 215 newton meters of torque. And that is an electric motor, which means it is instant and it is continuous and smooth. So no matter what speed you're going or where your wrist is on that throttle, when you ask for more, it is right there, which gives this an incredibly smooth, powerful and fast riding experience. It's probably impossible to ride this bike without a smile on your face. The big question everyone always asks of electric motorbikes is the battery and thus the range. Now this bike comes with a 3-year warranty on the battery, so Energica know that these bikes' batteries are very reliable, and you're looking at around 1,200 recharges. Now don't think that number's small. If you think about the amount of times you're going to fully deplete the battery and recharge it, that's actually a lot of riding, and that's just the amount that they guarantee. If you look at some of the motorcycles or cars on the market, their batteries will run considerably longer than that, so I really do suggest that sort of worry goes out the window. Now the battery in here starts down at the bottom here, comes up to the top here. We've then got an inverter in the top. Now the reason we've got an inverter is because this is a DC battery, and that is awesome because it means it's compatible with the car charging infrastructure. And you can pop into a car parking infrastructure like the ones we've got behind, like the ones that you can find in a lot of service stations, outside businesses, etc. Plug in and you're looking at about 80% charge in less than 30 minutes. And I know that when I'm out riding with friends, by the time you stop for a coffee, 30 minutes has been swallowed up before everyone's got their helmets back on. So it's not really a worry, and the charging network is definitely growing. So the inverter up in the top will change the DC current that the battery's holding through to AC, which is what the motor then takes to put power down into the wheel and get you accelerating away very, very swiftly. Oh my goodness, I've just had an update on one of the stats. I've been in my head thinking that this bike does 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. Pah! Put that out the window. This is the RS model, 2.6 seconds. No wonder my brains felt like they were getting accelerated into the back of my skull. Oh, that is insane acceleration. So the RS also comes with Olin suspension. Energica have basically gone, what accessories and parts are really important on this bike? If you've got an incredibly fast Engine, motor, you're going to need really good stopping power and good suspension to make that ride quality feel really good. So we've got the Brembo bikes and the Olin suspension front and back. For me, riding along, I felt it was actually really comfortable. It was smooth, it feels stiff but flexible in the same way. That made me feel confident, leaning into corners, buzzing it around roundabouts. And the weight, despite being 260 kilos, which does sound quite heavy, there's a lot of battery in there, doesn't feel heavy. The weight is really nicely distributed into the bike, and in slow moving traffic early today, which was a bit sucky because I really wanted to open the throttle, but in slow moving traffic, because the weight is really low, it's a very stable bike. Because that power is so smooth and linear, there's no bites and surprises, and you can ride this bike really slowly. I reckon if you were to do slow races, this bike and your mates on their combustions, you'd have all the wins on this bike, that's for sure. Now, I've said this bike gives you confidence in riding. A key thing for confidence for me is the feel of the bike when you actually swing your leg over. So for me, I am 169 centimeters tall with a 69 centimeter inside leg, and I am very easily flat-footed. In fact, there's actually a bend in my knee. The bars and the shape of the bike is really comfortable, kind of sort of, you sit in it and feel really, really nice and comfortable. The weight is quite low, so it doesn't feel heavy. You haven't got a big wishy-washy fuel tank up top. You've got the weight of a battery down low. All of that gives you a really confident ride. It's also like pretty comfortable seat. There is space for a pillion. Now, I'm not a big pillion rider. I prefer to be in the front seat, but I'm guessing you could fit a little person up there. It's about the same sort of pillion seat as you'd expect on a bike like this. I think it's going to be more fun riding on your own. Now, this model is the RS, so it's a top spec model in the Eva Ribelle range. And from what you can see on the bike here, we've got loads of carbon, we've got the Olins, and there is a slightly different mapping on this bike, which does give you that slightly better acceleration that I mentioned of 2.6 versus 2.8 to 60 on the non-RS version of the bike. So you're getting a little bit more bang for your buck, if that's not too cheesy to say. As far as the looks of the bike, if I'm completely honest with you, I'm not a big fan of road bikes. Like, I like road bikes, but there's not many road bikes that I will double look at and go, wow, that is a really nice looking bike. This is one of the bikes that I would double look at, and I think that Energica have made some really nice lines. It's aggressive and it looks like a motorbike. It doesn't look like a motorbike, like it doesn't look like an electric bike, if that even makes sense. If you've seen some of the other electric bikes on the market, hopefully it will make more sense. Now, as far as the riding setup, they've got a nice clean heads-up display in front. You've got 4 riding modes. So you've got Eco. Now, Eco is exactly what it says on the tin. It's designed to get you and the bike the furthest you can for the range on your motorcycle. You've then got Rain mode, which is going to help you stay safe with the power to the rear wheel when it's a little bit slippery. You've then got City mode, which I suppose is to be in a city. And then you've got Sports mode, which is my favourite because that unleashes all of the fun. You also have traction control settings, 3 of them. And then something that I really like about this bike is the engine regeneration you get from braking. So engine braking, you can change the settings on it so that it will either have no engine braking and then therefore no regeneration of charge. So it's an electric bike. When you brake and use the brakes, you're basically wasting energy. And this bike, instead of you needing to use the brake, will use the engine and then restore and reclaim some of that engine so you can go a little bit faster. That's it in a nutshell. You've then got settings of how much engine braking you want, i.e. regeneration, and the full engine regeneration. You do not need that front brake or rear brake at all, because that bike will whoop, stop the second you come off the throttle. It's a really cool way to ride, actually. Okay, so safety, people think, engine braking, that's a bit dangerous because you're slowing down, nobody knows you're slowing down, and actually statistically a lot of motorcycle accidents happen because we slow down with our gears and the guy behind us doesn't know we're slowing down. Bam. When you're engine braking on this thing, the rear brake light comes on, and I think that's a really good touch, Energica. Keeping us bikers safe, like it. Okay, so the brake isn't just on when it engine brakes, it like 3 flash warns the driver behind you and then goes on solidly. As an electric motorcycle, there's all kinds of bits of information that probably really important to know and understand as you're riding along. Similarly, like we'd have on a combustion bike, they're just slightly different when it's an electric. So we've got how much charge we've got, how much range we've got at this sort of rate of riding, and that live adjusts based on the riding that you're doing, how many kilowatts per hour you're drawing with your wrist, and all of your speed. There is actually some really cool displays that you can flick between. I believe there are 3, and one of them shows you a graph of basically how throttle happy you are. But it's kind of cool to watch and see the different power outputs as you're drawing. You can then obviously access your riding modes, your traction control, your engine braking. Handlebars otherwise are really smooth and uncluttered, apart from my quad lock mount and my GoPros, which I've added on because they're super handy for riding. You've got your front brake and your rear brake. Otherwise, your left foot and your left hand will probably be trying to grab for a pedal that doesn't exist because it's an electric motorcycle. Now that's some of the key information about this motorbike. There are lots more stats, but you can read them in a model spec. The rest of it is about how it feels out on the road. So I'm going to get out riding and I'll be able to give you a little bit more update on how this is out in real world.